Welcome, Space Conquerors. My name is DasTactic. Welcome to the channel. We're going to do a one-off video looking at the new colossal-sized planets that you can now get in Shadow Empire. Now, this is probably not something I would ever really be wanting to play myself, but I know some of you out there who will be wanting to play this. Anyway, it looks interesting. So where it is this is in version 1.25F if you've got the open beta, and at some point it will then hit the, it'll become like one of the regular planets. It's under the additional planet classes. You don't need any DLC for this one. But you've got a new one just called Colossal, a Colossal class. But let's start at the very smallest and work our way up, and just so you can sort of see the size differences with everything as well. So if we go back to our core planets, the smallest ones we're going to get is the Moon class. Oops, hang on. Restart. We start on small, so small to medium, Moon, and then we'll just sort of continue on through. So these are tiny little planets, like 1,146 kilometers having a radius, which is about, I think, the size of Pluto, I think, is sort of like around that sort of scale. So, not really even big enough to be considered to be an actual planet. So very, very small, very, very playable. The next size up is just to go to normal and then actually do the same thing again. About 1,500 kilometers now of radius. And you can see there the scale difference as we sort of have a look at it. I'm probably going to start to zoom out a little bit here, but this is about the scale of our moon, to put that into some sort of context as well. So a lot more to play on this sort of one. And that's just going up from small to medium. Let's just zoom out now because all the other planets are going to be looking at this sort of scale. I should have actually started on this sort of zoom, I guess, for the small one. The small one is a fair bit smaller. Like it's, like a fair portion smaller than what we're seeing through here. And so the large to supersized moons end up being a little bit larger again, close to 2,000 kilometers in this case, which is about the size of Mercury, I think. I can't remember. I'm going off memory, on a very bad memory. So that's the size of the large moons. Moons never have an atmosphere, so it doesn't matter what, like even if it was a planetoid with the moon class, but 2,000 kilometers, that's what we're looking at with the scale in through here, which is double the size of the start ones. The start ones are much smaller. I should actually show that, I think. As you can see, there's the 1.1 kilometer, 1,100 kilometer radius moon. So basically, essentially a quarter of the size of the large moons. Next, we have the small planetoids. Now, these push out slightly bigger than the large moons themselves. As you can sort of see from the scale there, it's just a little bit bigger. The mediums are getting up to around about 3,000 kilometers radius, which now we're sort of bleeding off the left and right side a little bit. Got a little bit extra space in through there now. So, but we're still fitting within the north-south. We're still actually within the bounds of where we actually are, but not for long. And then the large planetoids are coming in at 4,000 kilometers radius, so, getting up there to normal planet sort of status, really. And so this is going to be 4 times. We're now sort of just outside the bounds of what we can sort of scroll around. But this is 4 times the size then of the moons that we would have started with. So there's a lot more to play on these of the largest planetoids. Small planets, for example, if we just take a Siwa class, it's small. So we go backwards a little bit here, like 3,500 kilometers as the radius, but we now have an atmosphere on the actual planets themselves. So certainly a larger area to play on. But you don't need to have, you don't need a massive place to have a fun time in the actual game itself. In fact, the smaller the area, the less you have to worry about logistics. So there's a Siwa class, but very, very dry Siwa class. So while small was about the same size as, for example, Mars, we now come up to 5,000 kilometers thereabouts for the medium-sized normal planets. As you can sort of see again, a fair bit more space than what we've had before. But we're now sort of getting beyond what the largest of the planetoids was. There's a lot more space now to be playing on the actual map itself. So it's getting larger and larger. What I should do is now start to show the mini-map. That will just give you a bit of a context, I guess, as to what we're looking at in the grand scheme of things. And then when we choose a large, like normal planet size, we end up with this around about the 6,000 to 6,300 kilometers radius, which is the size of Earth or Venus. They're the same sort of size planets that we would have in through there. If you sort of close this one down and open the mini map, again, doesn't look like it's much bigger than what we've seen there before, but there is a lot more to play on with these, so it does extend for a long period around the actual surface itself. So there's a lot to sort of take in. But we now have a new series of classes. Under the additional, you now actually have a new Colossus class, which is a new size class. I'll just start on small and we'll work our way up into these. Now this small Colossus class is actually under what we had got there for the large normal class, so we're still looking at 5,000 in through this other side. And the gravity is actually very low on this particular one. Let's have a quick look at the mini map here again. So you can see it's there a little bit smaller than what we'd seen there before. Let's step it up and go even bigger. We'll take it to normal. So here we have a massive 7,600 kilometer radius water world. So you don't have to use the DLC to actually have this one on. I'll just put the mini map on. But this one, it does work with DLC, but you don't have to have it there. But these are monstrously large planets. Like, they're getting very, very large. But it doesn't just end there. It can continue getting larger and larger. So this is just a massive water world. This wouldn't be bad to play, actually, because at least it would be all contained because of the water. So the actual land area that you're playing on is still relatively small. The final would be to then take it up to large and then Colossus and see how that one works. Now we start to approach dimensions of nearly like a 10,000 kilometer radius, so 10 times the size that we started with at the start with the moons. And these are monsters. So you can see there, it's got the mini map is really small in comparison. Like, it takes a lot of scrolling to just get across the map, just to try to figure out what's going on. It is just astoundingly big. It's crazy big, actually, the way it sort of does work. There's some little issues at this stage with some of the generation. Sometimes we end up with, it's not seeing it in this one actually, but sometimes the generation will create weather patterns or snow patterns that don't look good. Like, they'll be sort of rectangular rather than more organic. But this one doesn't look too bad. But that's just a quick rundown of the different classes. And again, if we go, just remember how big this one was. Like, we're looking at a that's the middle of this whole massive area. Like, it goes so many other screens left and right from where we actually are here. It's just crazy. But if we go back and start with the moon again, for context, that's the same scale that we're looking at through there. The mini map doesn't even, like, it's not even functional on a moon class. It's the mini map would be way out to the outside edges if we were looking at the mini map. One of the interesting things when you do sort of create a colossal class, I'll just go continue, just start detail, or just start to generate some of these, just so you can sort of see some of the things that do come up. So this is over 10,000 kilometers, this particular one. 2.5 G, we can do better than that. We'll re-roll. 4.38 at 10 again. This one's very low gravity, which is interesting. 2.4. 4.6. I mean, they're just the scale differences are crazy. 3.4. I had over 5 for some of them. Just see what we can get. There was a 5.36. That's actually the biggest I've ever seen. So this is the highest gravity one that I've seen. And when it generates these sorts of worlds, it's based on the heavy elements, by the way. So if we re-roll and just look at the heavy elements as well, 137, got 3.6, 124, 3.6, 114. Actually, that's high as well. 3.5. Maybe it isn't tied that way. Yeah, it does come down a bit when the heavy elements go down. It tends to go down as well. That one didn't go up as much as I thought it would, but it's a smaller radius. 100%, 3.5. Yeah, 74, then it's very, very low gravity. It's interesting the way it sort of is going to work, and of course, like it's just basically a random planet, so it looks very, very cool. Anyway, I thought I'd actually just do a little video on this one just to sort of show what's here. You may be interested in playing these. I think particularly with the Oceania DLC, that could be quite good fun. And also for the future changes of the game as well. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this sort of content, and I'll catch you around.